Hey everyone, Theo here. This is my artist review of the Lenovo Legion Tab Gen 3 and this is an 8.8-inch mini gaming tablet running on Android 14 and I have been using this tablet for the past few days as an ultra portable digital sketch pad to sketch my kids while they were playing. By the way, this video is going to be quite long, so if you want to save time, you can check out the text review that I have already written on my blog. The link is in the video description below. Or you can use the timestamps provided to jump to different sections of this video. Alright, disclaimer, this is not a sponsored review. I had purchased this tablet secondhand for the purpose of making this video. So if you guys have intention to buy this tablet after watching the review, consider supporting my YouTube channel and the work that I do here by making your purchase through the affiliate links in the video description below. And I will earn some commission for each sale, but at no extra cost to you. Alright, as usual, let me give you the bottom line up front. So this tablet has pen support for the Lenovo Tab Pen Plus, which is an optional purchase. And the handwriting experience is excellent. The drawing experience is quite good, but there are some limitations and quirks which I will talk more about later. The design of this tablet is beautiful, the build quality is solid, so this tablet looks and feels very premium. And this is so-called a mini tablet. And this is very portable. You can easily hold this in one hand for like writing and drawing. This tablet is also known as the Lenovo Legion Y7 2025. And this comes with the China ROM and this was released in October 2024. The Y700 is using the China ROM, so it does not have official support for Google Play Store, which you may be able to install later. Now this tablet that I have here is the Lenovo Legion Tab Gen 3 with the global ROM, and there is official support for Google Play Store. So this tablet was released in January 2025, 4 months after the Lenovo Y700 was released. This is a really powerful mini gaming tablet and you do get what you pay for. So here in Singapore the price is 769 Singapore dollars. And that is around 590 US dollars. So you get Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, 12 gigs of RAM, and you get 256 gigs of internal storage, but there's no micro SD card slot, unfortunately. So this tablet is running on Lenovo ZUI 16.1 on top of Android 14, and this UI has many useful features. So with this game Genshin Impact, usually when I play it on other tablets, the default graphics settings is set to medium or low. But on this tablet, the default graphics settings is set to high. So with this tablet, you can get really beautiful and detailed visuals. The display is bright, vibrant and sharp. Resolution is 2560 by 1600 and the brightness is up to 500 nits. One downside is, well, the display does not have anti-reflective coating, so the reflections are very obvious and can be distracting. Oh, refresh rate is 165 Hz, so all this animation when it comes to zoom, scroll, pan and rotate, it's really smooth. So you see the display dim, that's because there is auto brightness, which works actually quite well. But when you're playing, you have to be aware of where the camera or the brightness sensor is. There are no issues with multitasking. You can switch between apps very quickly and all the apps can retain in memory because there is 12 gigs of RAM. The weight of this tablet is 350 grams, so it's really portable. Now, one interesting thing about this design is there are two USB-C ports. So there's one USB-C port here in landscape, which can output video and can be used for charging. And there is another USB-C port here, which is only for charging. The tablet supports 68 watt fast charging and there are stereo speakers and the audio quality is amazing. I was able to get around 10 hours of battery life with this tablet at 50% brightness. Let's talk very quickly about the pen performance. So if you install the glass screen protector that's provided onto the tablet, it's going to affect pen performance. So when you draw diagonal lines, there will be obvious diagonal line wobble. But if you do not use the glass screen protector, you can actually draw rather straight diagonal lines. This pen has tilt sensitivity, but unfortunately it doesn't work that well. So as I tilt the pen, you can see sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Palm rejection thankfully works quite well, so you can have your palm on the display and it will not introduce any stray strokes. And even if you try to draw with your finger, you won't be able to draw with your finger or draw any lines. So the bottom line is, this is a really good tablet. Actually, this is probably the best mini Android tablet out there in the market right now, and having pen support is a nice bonus. So this tablet may be pricey, but you do get what you pay for. Alright, on to the full review. Let's take a look at the items included in the box. This is how the packaging box looks. Now bear in mind that I have purchased this secondhand, so I do not know whether the previous owner had removed anything from the box. In the box, you will find a tablet, a USB-C to USB-C charging cable, a 68-watt fast charger with USB-C port, safety booklet, quick start guide, and this flip case. This is probably the official case since there is the Legion branding. This is a really good case because you can detach the case from the flip cover. And lastly, there is this glass protector. The seller also gave me this HyperKin Retro N S64 console dock, and this has support for HDMI and extra USB-A ports, and this is where you can dock the tablet. So you can actually use this accessory to output video to an external display, or you can just connect a video cable to this USB-C port directly. Let's take a closer look at the design of this tablet. So this is a beautiful looking tablet. The build quality is extremely solid. So this tablet looks and feels premium. The bezels are quite thin on the landscape side, thicker at the top and bottom, and there is this portrait camera with auto brightness. And you can see this display is quite glossy and reflective because there is no anti-reflective coating. The tablet is, I'll say, quite thin, and that's the USB-C video port. And this is the back, which is metal, and it's matte textured, and it's quite susceptible to fingerprints. There is a 30 megapixel camera and a 2 megapixel macro camera and a flash. Oh, the front camera is just 8 megapixels. So corners for the body and LCD are rounded off, and here at the top, those are the speaker grills, and there is another set on the other side, and the audio is amazing. The audio is loud, clear, and has good surround. And the camera bump is not too big. And this is where you can see the volume controls and power button. When playing games, the speakers are at the top, so your hands will not cover the speakers. However, your hand may cover the camera here, and that will activate auto brightness. The size of this tablet makes it very easy to hold in one hand, and you can hold this in one hand for long periods of time very comfortably because the weight is just 350 grams. The Lenovo Tab Pen Plus actually has magnets inside, but you cannot attach this pen anywhere on the tablet. This 8.8-inch LCD is bright, vibrant, and sharp. Resolution is 2560 by 1600, and pixelation is not noticeable even when I look very closely. The brightness is up to 500 nits, and the refresh rate is up to 165 Hz. So animations such as pan, zoom, and rotate, and when you're browsing or scrolling web pages, all that is really smooth. Display is laminated, so there is almost no gap between the line and the pen tip. But if you put the glass screen protector, you will see a bit more gap. If you do not put the tablet in the case, the camera bump will cause the tablet to wobble when you have the tablet on the table for writing and drawing. So when you have the tablet in the case like this, you can then write and draw on it without the tablet moving. The glass is quite smooth, which is good for writing, but for drawing it's a bit too smooth for my personal preference. The challenging part about drawing on this tablet is having to deal with the very smooth glass. One downside to such a small display is when you have the virtual keyboard up, it's going to take up so much space. So let's take a look at some beautiful photos. Aspect ratio of this display is 16 by 10, so this is great for watching videos which are 16 by 9. And as you can see, the visuals are really beautiful. So even though this display is not an OLED display, it's LCD, a good LCD can still look terrific. And this is a terrific looking LCD. So this is a high quality LCD. Next, let's talk about performance. So this tablet comes with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, which is a powerful processor that is very capable when it comes to playing games. And there are 12 gigs of RAM, so certainly no issues with multitasking. And games are able to load quite quickly. So this is Genshin Impact, and usually with other tablets, the loading bar will take a long time to load, but this guy here, it loads really fast. So you can increase the frame rate to 60 Hz, and this tablet will be able to handle. You see this loading bar? This loads really slowly on my other Android tablets. And here it loads like really quickly. Okay, I have to be sure not to cover the camera here so that I will not activate auto brightness. So the gameplay is smooth, very smooth, and I've been using this tablet for more than 2 weeks now, and I did not experience lag in any manner. So yeah, this is a really powerful tablet. This tablet is running on Lenovo ZUI version 16.1 on top of Android 14. So this OS actually has many useful features, and there is official support for Google Play Store. And when I reset the tablet to factory settings, I did not notice any bloatware except for the Lenovo Space and Lenovo Vantage, which are apps for customer service and for gaming. There are many quick gesture shortcuts for productivity. There are also many pen shortcuts, and if you want to learn more about these shortcuts, check out my other video that talks specifically about note-taking with this pen on this tablet. And yes, you can write in text boxes as well. The OS has support for multi-user account, and this tablet is compatible with Google Kidspace. This tablet supports PC mode or desktop mode, so when you connect this tablet to an external display for the first time, it will ask you whether you want to mirror what's on the tablet display or whether you want to use the PC desktop mode. And this is the desktop mode with the taskbar and the apps on the taskbar. And you can choose to use the virtual touchpad here, so you can actually have a cursor on the display, and then you can just have a keyboard here and just type on the keyboard and use this as a touchpad. So it's quite convenient. Now this PC mode does not have many features. So for example, if I want to close this window, I have to click twice. Click here and then minimize, instead of having to click on the minimize or the cross button, which is available with Windows desktop. So I can scale this. I can have multiple windows, floating windows. See this virtual keyboard here? So it's definitely more productive to connect a keyboard to the tablet so that you can use a proper keyboard. Now, there are some quirks with this desktop mode that you will have to learn. For example, I cannot just click and drag this window. I have to click for a few seconds before I can drag. And if you connect this to an even larger display, there is no way for you to change the UI scaling for the desktop UI because features are quite limiting. I have not tested the desktop mode in great detail, so I can't really say much. Let's open some apps to have a look. So this is Amazon Shopping. Let me just minimize this. Okay, the UI is a bit difficult to navigate because when I use the touchpad, it would zoom in and out. And this does not happen when you are using this app in a phone or in a small tablet. So let's open another app. And here you can see the UI, the text is just way too big. Another limitation with the OS is because the display is so small, it does not show the recent apps. So here you can have a shortcut to show all the apps, but it doesn't show the recent apps that you have just opened. Oh, and of course there is split screen mode if you want to use split screen mode. I found out online that this tablet will only be getting 2 major Android updates and 4 years of security updates. Next, let's look at the Lenovo Tab Pen Plus, which is an optional purchase for US $50. So this is not too expensive, and if you want to write and draw on this tablet, you have to buy this pen. And this pen is also compatible with the Lenovo Idea Tab Pro that I have reviewed recently. So the build quality of this pen is, I would say, quite good. It's not too heavy, not too light. I like the matte textured body that provides a good grip. This pen has a built-in battery, and you can charge the battery using this USB-C port at the back of the pen, and there is no eraser here. This pen has magnets inside, and you can attach this pen to the back or the sides of certain tablet models, but this pen does not support magnetic charging. So you have to remember to charge the pen before you bring the tablet outdoors. Otherwise, you have to remember to bring the USB-C cable to charge the pen. And if you are someone who does not use the pen often, I highly recommend you set a calendar alarm so that you can remember to charge the pen at least once a month. Because the battery capacity in such pens is really small, and if you leave the battery discharged for long periods of time, you can damage the battery very easily. And I'm speaking from experience. This pen has one side button which can be used for the shortcuts Lenovo has provided. For example, you can use this button to take photos or take videos. And this button unfortunately is not customizable with the various drawing and note-taking apps that I have tested. This pen tip is quite firm and has no movement when in contact with the glass surface, and this pen tip is replaceable. You can just unscrew this and put in a new one, and you can find replacement pen tips on AliExpress, and they are not expensive. You can find 4 pen tips for less than $10. And you can see this is a plastic pen tip, and it seems to have some matte textured surface, but it's actually still quite smooth when drawing or writing on the glass display. This pen supports up to 4,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, and there is tilt sensitivity, but that doesn't work too well, which I will show you later. And there is palm rejection, and thankfully palm rejection works really well. Now this pen supports Bluetooth, but you do not need to use Bluetooth in order to write or draw with the pen. You only need to use Bluetooth if you want to take photos or take videos with the button and use some other software features. The flap for this flip case unfortunately cannot go over the pen. Anyway, the pen cannot attach to the side of this tablet magnetically. Let's look at the pen latency performance, which will vary depending on which app you use. And this app is Medibank Paint, and I can see latency as the line is trying to catch up with the pen tip. But this amount of latency actually doesn't really affect me when drawing or writing. And this app is Concepts, and latency performance here is really good. I can barely see any gap as I'm drawing this line very quickly. So there is almost no gap between the line and the pen tip. Alright, time for the line test, and the app that I'm using is Medibank Paint, because this app does not provide any software correction to the line, so the quality of the line you see will be the quality of the pen. Let's test the initial activation force. So this is how thick the line really is, and now I'm drawing with minimal pressure. And I can draw thin lines quite easily. You can see some wobble or jitter, and that is due to my handshake or hand movement. Let's draw with the help of a straight edge and see what we can get. So as you can see, the line is quite straight. Let me draw one very slowly. I don't think you have to worry too much about slow diagonal line wobble or jitter while drawing. The challenging part about drawing on this tablet is actually having to deal with the rather smooth glass surface. So lines can taper, I would say, quite easily and sharply and smoothly. Next, let's test the line transition from thin to thick and back to thin. So this is actually the true pressure test, because there are certain pens that cannot draw thin lines like this after drawing thick lines, and I would say this pen is able to do so, is able to draw thin lines after drawing thick lines, so this is good. And let's have the line consistency test. So I can create lines with consistent line width by maintaining consistent pressure. Let's draw some dots. No issues here. I can also have the dots react with pressure. And this is the tilt sensitivity test. So I have the pen vertical, and now it's on the side, and now it's vertical, on the side, vertical, and it seems to work fine with this soft pencil brush. It may look like tilt is working well, but there are actually some issues. If I hold the pen at 45 degrees, which is the normal angle that I use to hold the pen for writing or for drawing, you can see that sometimes tilt would activate randomly. But this is still not too bad. Now on the Lenovo IdeaTab Pro, I'm going to do the same. So can you see what's happening here? I'm holding the same pen at the same angle, and I'm trying to write the same letters or draw the same letters, and tilt would activate at this normal angle. So for some reason, tilt sensitivity tilt is just too sensitive on this tablet, but tilt actually works better, slightly better on this tablet. Tilt performance will vary quite noticeably depending on which app you use. So now I'm using Infinite Painter with the dry inker brush, and you can see for writing it works fine. This is me holding the pen vertically with minimal pressure, with heavy pressure, and with tilt. And you can see tilt barely works. So if you like to draw with tilt brushes, then the tilt not working is going to be a deal breaker. And this app is Krita. So I can see the shape of the cursor following the direction of the pen. So that is good. I can draw something like this, no problem. Let's have a thin horizontal line, broad horizontal line, thin vertical line, broad vertical line. Let's have the darker shade on the right side and the darker shade on the left side. This app is Sketchbook, so now I'm holding the pen vertically with minimal pressure, with heavy pressure, and now I tilt the pen. So it seems like tilt works fine, but let's try and write something. Okay, tilt is not working that well now. So I'm holding the pen at the usual angle for writing and drawing, and you can see sometimes the lines will be thin, sometimes it's thick, sometimes it's thin, sometimes it's thick. And now let's talk about the drawing experience on such a small tablet. So the main selling point here really is the very compact portable design. This can be used as a ultra portable digital sketchpad, and this is how big the tablet is when compared to an A5 size sketchbook. So the display is actually slightly the drawing apps that are best used on such a small display would be drawing apps that have minimal user interface. For example, with this app concepts, the UI, the tools, they take up this much space, which is not a lot, and hence you get a lot of canvas space to work with for drawing. You can also hide the UI so that you can have your palm on the display while you draw. Now for apps that have more user interface elements such as Krita, it's going to be a bit more challenging to use, especially with Krita where you need the palettes to be visible so that you can work more productively. And this applies to Clip Studio Paint as well. Now for Krita, there are some issues. I can see there are some scaling issues. So the text here for the menu bar, it's big, it's nice because I can see the text clearly. But the icons here, they are kind of small. So if you want to click on the tools here, you have to use the pen because using your finger to click on the tools, I find it to be a bit more challenging because the finger is big and the buttons are small. And also due to the scaling, I can see the scaling is quite big. So if I have multiple layers here, I will have to scroll down quite a bit. Same applies to all these brushes that you can see. So on a bigger display, you will be able to see more brushes here. But here you have to scroll quick, but you also have to make sure you do not miss the brushes as you scroll too quickly. Let's take a look at Clip Studio Paint. So this is CSP, same thing. To work more effectively, you have to show the palettes here. And you can use this app with a keyboard as well. But that would mean you have to have your keyboard around. If you open another column of palette, you don't really get much space left for drawing. Now for CSP, there is actually this, simple mode. So you can switch to the tablet user interface, and this will hide all the tools behind all the buttons here, and the layers palette you can see is collapsed like this. So this gives you more space for drawing, and you can use the slider here. These are designed for sliding. So this is more convenient and certainly more usable compared to using the studio mode, which is actually more suitable for larger displays. I use Mediabank Paint quite often on Android tablets, and the UI for this app also takes up quite a lot of space, but you can hide the UI easily by just tapping on the buttons on the side. So I'll say this app is still quite usable for drawing on such a small tablet. While it is possible to hold the tablet in one hand to draw, it is actually easier to draw on the tablet if you have the tablet rest on some sort of surface and use the tablet horizontally so that you can rest your palm on the display. When you can rest your palm on the display, you can get more control over the pen. Because the display is quite smooth, it will be good to find some way to gain more control over the pen, otherwise the pen tip would glide too easily on the display. It is possible to install a matte screen protector on the display, but nowadays I no longer use matte screen protectors because number one, they affect the image quality of the display, and number two, when you're using the matte screen protector outdoors, the diffuse reflection can be too glaring. When I was making this sketch, I had not yet realized that the glass screen protector would affect the line quality. So if you look at the knee area, you can see that a thick line is very wobbly, and that's actually due to the glass screen protector that's on this tablet, which I have not yet removed. But even with the glass screen protector on, I was still able to draw this sketch without much issues. However, if the line is indeed too wobbly, then the workaround is to just draw faster to get smoother lines. This tablet is probably better for sketching rather than for creating detailed illustrations due to the limited 8.8-inch display, which is quite small to work with, but it's not too small. So you can certainly draw on it. It works really well as a digital sketch pad because it is so portable. So you can bring this around very easily, more easily compared to 11-inch tablets and definitely more portable compared to 12 or 13-inch tablets. So the main selling point for this tablet really is the compact portable design. Of course, the other main selling point is this is a very powerful tablet that's designed for gaming. For this tablet to have pen support is a nice bonus. I did not have any issues with pressure sensitivity while drawing with this pen on this tablet. I would say the Apple Pencil and Samsung S Pen would be more sensitive than the Lenovo Tab Pen Plus, but for sketching purposes like this, I do not have any issues with the pen. Interestingly, when I used the same pen on the 12.7-inch Lenovo Idea Tab Pro recently, this pen actually had the tendency to draw thicker lines. So I did not experience that problem here on this tablet for some reason, even though I'm using the exact same pen. If you take a look at the line art here, you can see a variation of thin and thick lines, even though I have used a thick brush to just draw everything. Whereas on the other tablet, if I choose a thick brush, I will mostly be getting thick lines. And hence, if you are using a pen with lousy pressure support, having the ability to adjust the pressure curve would be necessary. But thankfully, this pen actually performs quite well here, so I don't have to worry about pressure sensitivity that much. Another thing to note is tilt sensitivity did not misbehave as much on this tablet. So while I was drawing the line art earlier, sometimes there would be random tilt effects, but it doesn't happen that often. On the other tablet, the Lenovo Idea Tab Pro, tilt would activate randomly way too often and it's very annoying. But here, thankfully, I do not have that problem when I'm holding the pen at my usual angle. If you are someone who use tilt brushes frequently, this is not the tablet I would recommend because there are just some issues with tilt sensitivity. Tilt does not perform consistently or predictably. But if you're just creating line art, then this pen is not going to give you much problems. And if you are just going to write or take notes with this pen, the note-taking performance is really good. If you're wondering how this tablet compares to the iPad mini, well, I'll be making a dedicated review to compare these two tablets very soon. All I want to say right now is Apple Pencil is definitely more accurate. However, the display of this Lenovo tablet is much better. The display on this Lenovo tablet seems to be brighter compared to the iPad mini 7, even though both tablets have 500 nits of advertised brightness. And the 165Hz refresh rate on this Lenovo tablet definitely makes the iPad mini feel like an old tablet from years ago. So this sketch is almost complete and you can see me using this very simple line art and color style because I just do not have the time to create very detailed illustrations as making video reviews like this is very time consuming. So that's why you always see me sketch very simply in my reviews. I think it's possible to create very detailed illustrations with this pen and tablet. It's just that the challenging part would be having to deal with how smooth the glass display is. Whether to get this 8.8-inch tablet for drawing versus an 11-inch tablet really comes down to personal preference. A larger tablet will allow you to use apps with more user interface elements and also let you use split screen mode more effectively. And you can also place reference photos in your drawing app Let's take a closer look at this So if you look here, you can see this line is not smooth, and also the diagonal lines, they are not smooth because as mentioned earlier, I had the glass screen protector on. I have since removed the glass screen protector, so let me redraw this here. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line like this. Notice how straight this is compared to what I drew earlier. That is the random tilt effect. Oops, wrong angle. So I am able to draw straighter lines. Oops, that is the random tilt effect again. So I have to hold this pen more vertically to prevent that. And yeah, so there is very noticeable difference when you're drawing without the glass screen protector versus with the glass screen protector. And also let me duplicate this line again, this curve here. Yeah, so this is smooth. Let me draw it with some pressure. Yeah, it's smooth. All right, let me just delete this. So to delete this, I have to use the tool here because the side button is not customizable with this app and also all the other drawing apps that I've tested. Oh, by the way, this pen shortcut button here can be disabled if you do not use this. Otherwise, sometimes you may accidentally tap on it. Let's take a look at this shoe again. So this was drawn with Medibank Paint Pro. Let me just hide this, hide this. This app does not provide any software correction to the pen, and this app does not let you adjust the pressure sensitivity curve. So if the pen pressure does not work well, then there will be a problem when drawing with this app. So this is the thick brush that I was using, and because the pen is sensitive, I can draw thin lines like this easily. So I can create expressive lines with thin and thick strokes. Thin lines here, thick lines here. Now if I zoom in here, you can see there seems to be some wobble. So let me redraw that line again here. Yeah, it looks fine. This line looks smooth enough. Let's draw with thin and thick. Yeah, it looks straight enough. I can't remember if I've drawn this with the glass screen protector on or not. But the thing here is no issues with pressure sensitivity. Here's another sketch drawn with Medibank Paint Pro. So let's zoom in and have a look at this diagonal line. And you can see that it's quite straight. I use a, I'll say, pretty thick brush here as well. Not as thick as earlier, but still quite thick. Oops, let me find where the layer is. Yeah, so maybe it's this thick. So I can draw this diagonal line here. And you can see it's quite straight. If you like to draw hatching lines or cross-hatching, you are going to see some latency as you draw very fast, but I don't think latency is an issue. Clip Studio Paint works fine, and this is the simple mode user interface. And with CSP, you can customize the pressure curve to help you draw thin and thicker lines more easily. Battery life is quite good. I can get around 10 hours of battery life with the display at 50% brightness, and there are many battery protection features provided by Lenovo. So you can have the battery stay within 40 to 60% charge. You can have it charged to a maximum of 80%, and it shows you the battery health as well. And it seems like there are two batteries. So you can go through all these settings to just tweak how you want to charge the battery. Right, to conclude, this is definitely one of the best mini tablets out there in the market right now. It is expensive, but you do get what you pay for in terms of the hardware that you get, and you get really good hardware. Having pen support is a nice bonus, and the pen works well enough for drawing. Now, as I launch this app concepts, I can see some pop-up, and those pop-ups are the Legion Space gaming notifications. So for some reason, when I launch concepts, that Legion Space app identifies this drawing app as a game, so it has those pop-ups, which is quite annoying. What was I saying earlier? Yeah, so this pen is good for drawing, but this pen is not as accurate compared to the Apple Pencil or Samsung S Pen. But it can definitely be used for drawing, and it's great for writing. The main issue with this pen really is tilt sensitivity doesn't work consistently or predictably. So if you're looking for a well-made, compact, portable tablet with great performance that also has pen support, this is definitely one I can recommend quite easily. And if you have the intention to buy this, consider using my affiliate links to make your purchase to support my YouTube channel and the work I do here. And watch out for my Legion Tab Gen 3 versus iPad mini 7 comparison review video, which is coming up soon. See you guys in the next video. Bye!